Citizen Law Enforcement Review Board hearing of June 4th, 2026. We are opening the session at 5:30 p.m. Can the secretary please call the roll?
Chair Pentire.
Here.
Vice Chair Mendelson.
Here.
Secretary Fasano. Mr. Bisson.
Here.
Dr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Dumas. Ms. Federico Mondragon. No. Mr. Moody.
Here.
Dr. Thomas. Mr. Ware.
Here.
And Mr. Woods here.
So I believe we have a quorum for CLERB business tonight.
7.
And I don't believe we have anyone who needs to make a statement for just cause, do we? No requests. Okay, thank you. Then we move on to item number 3. This is public comment. So this is an opportunity for members of the public to address the CLERB board on any subject matter that is within CLERB's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's open session agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. And then there will be time allotted for written public comment as well. So we'll go to in-person and then to virtual and then to written in public comment. How many speakers do we have?
We have 10 requests to speak.
How many? 10?
10.
Okay, let's go ahead with 2 minutes then.
We will start off with Van Smith. I don't see Van Smith online either, so I'll go to the next person. We will call Darwin Fisherman.
Thank you. Darwin Fishman, he, him, his, Racial Justice Coalition of San Diego. And I wanted to just follow up on the audit and custody deaths. And I made comments at the last meeting, but I just want to make sure that the follow through is made by you guys with the audit and the implications of it, especially in terms of the data that they needed to be able to do the audit and not being disclosed, given to them. And also that process you do in a public way, that you continue to update us at the meetings. I want to put a real explanation point on the fact that what they were doing in the audit is the same thing that us community members have been calling for, and also that you guys have been calling for. And so it's all roads lead to the same place. And I'll put it this way. I'm worried that it took an audit to highlight this, and that if you're not doing anything to be able to get at that data to find out more about in custody deaths, then it looks like you're also a part of it, that you're just letting it slide. And so I think the public part, and especially in terms of the meetings, is really critical, because at the end of the day, it is very obvious. As they said, just using one example quickly, is if you don't have the information, for example, about mental health and what's taking place for someone that's been diagnosed with conditions before they were in jail and during in jail, then you have no idea, for example, if that person dies, how that's connected, and you don't know whether or not they're getting proper care. And it's also, let me add this, the last part. There is also a class action lawsuit, Dunsmore, that just settled in terms of a component about healthcare and dental, and that's public information. So we know that, and we know that's playing a role in this. So again, it's really critical that you guys share with us how you're going through this process, and if it takes something like a lawsuit to get that data. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Zora Fahim.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Zora Fahim, and I'm here to talk about case number 25-093. So this is specifically in in regard to Deputy Pozoon and Deputy McRoberts, who is in the Vista Sheriff's Department, and their lack of care and concern. as it relates to the safety of the community and failure to enforce a TRO, which I've given you a copy of. It clearly states in the TRO, which I'll go over. A significant concern that was initial incident that led me to seek protection in the first place while I was in the process of picking up the dog waste. This is in the story that was given to you. My landlord approached me with the gardening equipment and placed the blades immediately next to my feet in an effort to force me off the grass. I had already explained that I was attempting to comply with his request by removing the waste. I was in no violation of law because I did not damage his grass. I felt threatened and feared that I could be injured. My understanding is that individuals have the right to be free from conduct that places them in a reasonable fear of imminent physical harm. Based on the actions I observed, I believe the situation warranted a thorough evaluation of law enforcement. However, Deputy McRoberts and Posen came not only minimize my concern, but encouraged the other party to file a restraining order against me. While my reaction to tell my landlord to leave me alone, which is a normal reaction when someone is in fear, was then characterized as willful intent. From my perspective, I was attempting to comply with my landlord's demands while responding to conduct that caused me to fear for my safety and told him to back off because I felt unsafe after he banged on my door at 7 a.m., aggressively screaming at the top of his lungs. My concern in regards to the restraining order that was actually signed by the judge and ordered was clearly prohibited by direct and indirect contact. There were no exceptions
Okay.
listed in the order for communication through a spouse.
Ms. Fahim, your time has expired. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we will call Jasmine Barbosa.
Good afternoon. My name is Jasmine Barbosa. I have several concerns, but with only 2 minutes, I want to address how mental health cases are getting criminalized, leading to children ending up in juvenile hall. Even when they have not committed a crime and are taken to children's hospital, trying to get help and get them admitted, even when you are letting them know that they have prior hospitalizations for mental health, you have SDPD getting involved, when you're asking for just assistance to get them into the hospital. You have rookie officers who do not provide the PERT team to get called out to you. That your child then ends up in the juvenile hall system. And when they are in the pre-adjudication stage, have not been convicted of a crime, have not done a crime, you have probation officers along with STPD doing home raids, claiming and lying to you when you have this recorded and they're saying that your child is a fourth waiver and they can come whenever they want, yet that is not true. They are traumatizing families, and this is not uncommon. This is very common. The more you speak to your community members, children are getting hurt, abused by probation department, who is currently under investigation. And there needs to be change. There needs to be change in the whole system of how this is being handled. Children are going to end up getting killed by SDPD or by probation officers. You have them wearing steel toe boots in the juvenile halls and outside. Why? If they're claiming to care for children. They're not in a construction zone. You have children coming out with broken ribs in the system, and that is a fact, and that is very well documented. Please help us in investigating these officers, these agencies. We need change. The children need care. Mental health needs to not be criminalized. These are children that we are speaking of. Please help them. Please do a change in the system. It is very broken.
Thank you. Next, we will call Joanna Flores.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Joanna Flores, and I'm here to speak up. A year ago, my son was beat up at juvenile hall. He was kicked on his face, socked on his ribs, and I was told an investigation was going to be done, and nothing was told. I'm here mostly because of retaliation. Every time that I go and say something or speak up for my son, there's always something done. For example, last time he was at court and he was supposed to be there. Um, Judge was not even advised or aware about that some incident had happened.
Ms. Flores, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you stop her time? I just want to make sure that you do not mention your youth's name because we have a privacy issue that we want to make sure that his name is, because he's a juvenile, is kept private.
I'm
And
so
we've
sorry, I
had
didn't
that-
know.
Yeah, you didn't. I just want to make sure that you don't because it becomes a problem for CLERB in our investigations if his name is becoming public. So I just wanted to give you that.
Heads up.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no, no,
Okay,
no.
all
no.
right.
Yeah, so like I was continuing, so he had, one of the first incidents that happened, he had court and he was not, he didn't arrive due to a situation that the judge was not aware. Everybody was unaware about the situation. It was a couple hours after, I went to the juvenile hall and they couldn't give me any explanation because even the warden wasn't aware about the situation. I felt that, when I reported that, the officer took advantage and did the conduct on themselves. So yeah, from there after, because of the beating for my son. So yeah, after that happened, and I was told that I was gonna get a report. It was gonna be an investigation. It's been about a year, and I haven't heard anything. But every time that, let's say for example, that he was inappropriate or said something, I'm very aware about it, and the charges are right there and then. So just want to let you know that I don't have enough time, but lately something happened too again, and it was a problem between probation supervisor and court, and they were, yeah. Thanks.
Ms. Flores, did you file a claim or a complaint with CLERB about your juvenile's case?
No, I just talked to the person, this, I don't know what they call it, the
Pro-
watch commander.
At
At the
at the detention
Kearney
facility?
Mesa Juvenile Hall. Yeah,
So if
and
you-
they told me since last year that they were gonna give me a call back,
Yeah.
notify me. I gave them my
But-
email address, my address, and I haven't heard anything about it. It was just let go.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, but if you file a complaint with CLERB, so that's what this body is, the Civilian Law Enforcement Review Board, then you can speak with one of our investigators and give them all of your information. You're limited to 2 minutes tonight, but if you file a complaint with our organization, with our body, then you can meet with one of our investigators and we can investigate further. So that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention.
No, thank you very
Okay,
much.
you're
I'm just
welcome.
very aware I'm barely getting aware about all this
I understand.
information, and that's why I'm speaking up.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Next, we will call David Settles.
Hello, CLERB, David Settles. I'm the brother of Matthew Settles, who passed away in George Bailey, 2024. Matthew had schizophrenia. He died in admin segregation. I'm here representing him and Saving Lives in Custody, North County Equity and Justice. I want to start off saying happy birthday to my brother. His birthday was yesterday. What I wanted to just say is, my mom and I we saw the article in the Union Tribune where there was the settlement with the civil action. And in there, one of the things they recently settled was the addressing some of the mental health services. So obviously, we think that's very much needed, these improvements. Did not understand too much of the details, what's involved in there. They did say that they're going to be the sheriff was going to be implementing that the next few years. So I just want to say, CLERB, please keep a close look that the sheriff's department is making those changes as they said they are. I think you're in a really important role in showing that they are held accountable to making those changes, because those very much are needed to save lives of other mentally ill patients. So my brother doesn't have to, or they don't have to go through what my brother went through. And just my last point is case in point. Then we read another article. I think there was another recent death of a mentally ill person in jail in admin seg. So please take a look at what these improvements are needed, what their sheriffs is doing, and hold them accountable. And I don't know if it addresses anything to do with admin seg, but that's another important oversight we need of what changes are going to take place there. Thank you very much, Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Dorian Golu.
I have submitted 3 requests to clerks for investigation. The first one amounted for more than 100 acts of vandalism, harassment, death threats, encroachment. None of them have been investigated by the Sheriff's Department because these drug dealers, criminals who moved next door, have a high connection in the Sheriff's Department. The highest that we uncovered is Lieutenant Bakuris from the Communications Center. It is unbelievable what they do. And lately, they even send poisonous gases towards my house, and my family has to inhale that poison on a daily basis, especially at night when we have no defense. And we submitted that request. It was immediately rejected. No misconduct. The situation aggravated. That officer sent a deputy to our house when I called for help in July 18 and arrested me at my house on my driveway. He called me out of the house and arrested me for calling the Sheriff's Department. Of course, the gases stopped because there is constant communication and they synchronize their activities. Not only that, but a fraudulent false case has been fabricated against me also by the DA based on the false arrest. And the situation got more aggravated. A month later, I received at night a threatening message from Lieutenant Bakuris to stop calling the Sheriff's Department on his friends, partners, whatever they are, criminals next door, that I'm making up the situation, and you don't have to imagine.
And that you stop calling and making up stories about your neighbors because they're all being decommitted. It's not fair to your neighbors. It's not fair to our dispatchers. It's not fair to our deputy sheriffs. If you have any questions, you're welcome to give us a call back. You're going to get me all night.
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired. But we did hear the voicemail. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Yusuf Miller.
Good evening, Yusuf Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California. And we have laws and we have rules on how probation and the Sheriff's Department is to respond to the CLERB. This relationship is something that we can hold and attempt to hold the Sheriff's Department or the probation in accountable. But what we're seeing is that the probation department is not following up, is not participating in a way that we can hold responsible. We see families here that have problems in the probation area, and how can we have anything to hold anyone accountable or any transparency for you to have transparency in accordance with AB 847 if they're not participating. This is why we're under investigation now from the AG in our county, is because of this broken system when it comes to relationships. And the relationship that's most important is the relationship with this body and probation. Probation, we cannot, as a community member, I cannot just go and ask questions because of the laws around privacy for the youth. But we rely and depend on you guys. And if you guys can't get the work done, there's something really afoul, especially after Lachey Sharp Collins' bill, AB 847. So we need, and I know you are, pursuing this transparency, pursuing this type of accountability, and know that you have the community behind you, because we have plenty of families here that are suffering from the misactivities and the bad actors in the probation department. We have children that are being harmed. We have children that are being treated like they're in prison by retaliation against children. It is just the number of things that I've been hearing from parents, from family members. It just blow your mind, and I'm sure you've heard of them too. But we're here to say we need to stop this and we need to work together to make a change in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to our online folks, I'm going to call Van Smith. Okay. Next, I'm going to call Deidre. I see that you are online.
My name is Theodore McLeod, and I am a constituent of Supervisor Joel Anderson, District 2. My pronouns are she, her. My public comments frequently revolve around requests for this board to take bold and proactive action. I'd like to thank you tonight for two recent moves you've made that have been both. First, taking such a strong stance on AB 847 and related records requests. EO Kalina's March letter to CPO Nelson was really forceful. And then instead of dropping the issue in the face of opposition, this board is now considering litigation to make sure the probation office complies. I hope your closed session deliberations go well tonight. Second is sustaining that two deputies were criminally negligent in the in-custody death of Bobby Ray Patton Jr. and referring your findings to the district attorney's office. It's efforts like these that make people think real law enforcement accountability in San Diego is possible. While I still hope to see more progress on outstanding issues like full body scans, misuse of body-worn cameras, a follow-up to the Mountain Whisper Light study, and listening to those with lived experience, the people of San Diego County have long deserved a strong and responsive Citizens Review Board, and I urge you to continue such bold moves going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Leslie. Leslie Crawford, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you. May I give my minutes in honor of Raymond Vogelman to Yusuf Miller?
Yes.
CLERB, if you allow, I would like to give those minutes to one of my allies that just came in after we already started public comment, and they're here now.
Okay, did they fill out a speaker slip?
They didn't because they just got in before we started. So I wanted to donate the time donated to me
Okay.
to one of them.
How about this? Can we have that person fill out the speaker slip now and we'll go to the next speaker and then that person can come forward?
Speak on their own?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I have two people in that category, so
Okay, have them both fill out a speaker slip. We'll move on to the other speakers and then we'll come back, okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
On
So-
behalf of Raymond Vogelman's family, I also want to speak on the process of getting information as related to Mountain Whisper Light, the information that we need when it comes to mental health, when it comes to video cameras, when it comes to intercom. This is all important for the safety of our individuals and our loved ones while they're in custody. Sometimes in that failure, we'll see a loss of loved one. And this is a particular case when a person was asking for help after they've been stabbed, that they didn't get help in a timely manner that might have saved their lives. Not only did the audit report that happened from the state declare this, but also when we're talking about what happens if that has been fully realized to this point, it has not been fully realized. And I understand that some of the facilities does not meet the criteria to even host and manage those things, but it's something we need to stay on top of. So with the efforts to make sure that we have visibility, make sure that we have intercom services, make sure that we have the access, the inmates have access to law enforcement and the vice versa is very, very important. In this case with Raymond Vogelman, if we would have had that at the time, he would have, in my opinion, survived. Now, I am acknowledging that we have made moves since the state audit to achieve that. But every day that we don't have full access to it is danger for our families. And these are the types of issues we don't want to have to come back before you to say that that is why someone lost their life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Brenda Settles. Brenda, can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I give my time to Yusuf Miller in remembrance of my son, Matthew Settles.
Thank you. Yusef Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California, and happy birthday, Matthew Settles. The Matthew Settles case is one that we're talking about that's going on right now with the solitary confinement and administrative separation. This exacerbates people's issue when they have mental health. They do not go into solitary confinement and come out a better human being. They don't come back and come out a better inmate. They come back traumatized. They come back worse, and their situation exacerbated mentally. Anybody would. If any one of us were put in admin segregation, the way some of these people are put in admin segregation, we would be traumatized coming out, let alone a person that's not already stable in their mental health capacity. We are seeing this as a health issue. We're seeing this as a human rights issue. We're seeing this as an issue that needs to be resolved right now. It is barbaric. And a lot of times in that admin segregation, in the excuse of putting people in a situation where they won't commit suicide, which we don't want, or harm themselves in any other way we don't want, they're put in a way that they don't have bedding, or maybe they don't have a pillow or things like that. I understand the safety issues that are required for certain materials, but we need to work around in a way that they are not treated inhumanely. So this admin segregation is already a problem, and the conditions within admin segregation makes it even worse, and it heightens our attention to it. We're trying to abolish that. We're trying to get away and find a new way to reimagine people who have to be segregated from the main community without throwing them in a quote unquote kennel, without throwing them in a dungeon, which only makes the issue worse. And when they come out, they're going to be more hazardous to their community. And when they come home, they will be probably more hazardous to the people who they love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Alejandro Martinez.
My name's Alejandro. Honestly, I feel like the probation department should have their own CLERB. In Los Angeles County, they have the POC, the Probation Oversight Committee. In Annie Casey Foundation, it's one of the leading youth development organizations throughout the country, published a report in 2023, I believe. Youth incarceration undermines public safety. Right now, we're funding youth detention at $131 million, probation's policies that are punitive, traumatizing, and harmful to our communities. I think the gentleman before me kind of really highlighted that. We have lived experience individuals that highlight that. We have folks that have left these institutions that highlight that. And some of them are policymakers. Some of them hold county supervisor positions in different counties across the country. Some of them are even senators and state assembly members. And they've gotten to the places that they've gotten to, not because they were incarcerated, but because they were supported through community care, lived experience, mentorship, incredible messengers. And so when we're investing this money, when we're getting sued, when we're having to have taxpayer money fund agencies that are really undermining our public safety, it's incredibly frustrating that these same agencies aren't being held accountable on day-to-day activities. And they're coming into these chamber buildings and presenting a face that is not true. Our folks in institutions and in detention, and even the ones in community supervision, are being raided and terrorized and traumatized and beaten. And that's terrible that we're funding that. These are tax-paying folks. These are young people and adults that are beautiful members of our communities, and we need to take that seriously and hold these folks accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, we will call Javier Hernandez.
Good evening. I'm here with a ticket from 11/2/2023. Juvenile probation arrived to my house for a juvenile welfare check because I have two boys that are on probation.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure, because I think you walked in a little bit later, that you do not mention the juveniles' names that you're referring to. We do have privacy concerns that we cannot have you saying their name in a public meeting. So just refer to the youth. You may tell your story. We want to hear from you, but please don't say their names.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. We'll give you your time back.
Sorry. So while they were there, the supervisor, there was 8 probation officers there right to my house. As I was trying to walk out to de-escalate the situation, the probation in charge pushed me, put her hands on me to keep me back inside my property. At that point, she instructed her staff to attack me, to take me down. I was taken down inside of my house in front of my parents that are in their 70s and in front of both of my sons. I was injured. They called for officer needs assistance. When they got there, they made up false accusations that I had to fight with the city attorney's office. Eventually, I was able to get this away, but not without them attacking me in my own property. My son is currently in East Mesa, and since that day, he has had nothing but retaliation, assaulted by staff, broken nose, broken ribs. There's zero accountability in juvenile probation. That's in YTC and in East Mesa. The juvenile probation system is broken, and they are completely unhinged. They do whatever they want to whoever they want. I'm not the only story. At least I'm here today, but I've had parents that I've talked to about the stories about my son while visiting, and they have stories too. I was not allowed to visit my son for a whole year. Literally today, I got a phone call. I'm barely gonna start visiting my son. It was a judge's court order to let me see my son about a month ago, and probation said, "F the court order. We're not gonna follow it." It's crazy what's happening in the youth system.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm going to ask you, we're going to have, I think, are we going to have an investigator come up here? We're going to have a member of our investigative team, one of our investigators, come and find you in the audience so you can file a claim with CLERB, because even though it's a bodily injury problem that you're talking about, it's not something that we would be able to review automatically. We would review something that happened with a youth and a probation officer, but yours, I don't think we would get automatically. So I'm going to ask you to talk to our investigator so you can file a complaint that we can review.
There's actually documentation of them being found guilty for assault with great bodily injury towards my son, but they've never been held accountable.
So if you file a complaint or a claim with CLERB, then we can take all of your information and review it.
Thank you, ma'am. I
Okay?
really appreciate
Thank you,
it.
sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chair. We have one written statement. May I read this?
Yes, please.
The statement is from Tom Packard, and it states, once again, in response to an article about a jail death, Sheriff staff made a general statement regarding improvements, this time in quotations, expanded medical and mental health staffing, increasing screening, and new safety protocols, end of quotation. These statements aren't nearly enough. Please forward this question to staff. What specific changes have been made to prevent deaths? How is each change associated with a death? And that's the end of the written statement. Chair, that concludes our request to speak for agenda item number 3.
Okay, so that concludes public testimony, non-agenda public comment. I'll remind the public that there are a couple of other items for which we have public comment tonight. If you could please, if you intend to speak on those items, it's item number 5, the next item coming up, number 5, and then item number 10 on the agenda. If you want to speak to them, if you could please submit your speaker slips in advance of those items starting, I'd appreciate it. Okay, we will now move to item 3A. I would like to reintroduce the Mountain Whisper Light team who are joining us via Zoom. Naris, I will give you a minute or to get it going. Okay, we'll give it a minute. In the meantime, I will introduce, while she's getting the team back on Zoom. This is the consultant team that CLERB hired to conduct the death study that was presented last month. Part of our contract with them, invited them to come back in case CLERB had additional questions for them. after their presentation, so that is why they're coming back. And I believe there are a few members of our board tonight who do have additional questions. So I'm going to give our team a minute to get them online, and then we'll get started.
Cheryl, are you able to hear us? You need to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Nirnaya, can you hear us?
Yes. Hi.
Okay, just to be clear, we're going to have audio from them, but no visual. Which is fine. I just want to make sure I'm not waiting for something else. Okay, we're going to get going. So we have a couple members of the team that I think last month there were about 5 researchers who are with us. Tonight we have 2, Cheryl Brown Hill and Nirnaya Milichek. I think I pronounced that.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us again. We do have a few members of the board that had additional questions. So if you have additional questions, let me know so I can go to you. Mr. Bisson.
Wondering about the process that you were given to evaluate. Given that there's a significant more deaths in certain facilities, where IPs or incarcerated persons are only there for a short period of time, and I'm talking about the San Diego Central Jail in particular. Do you have the process that determines how long you'll stay in the central jail before you're moved to the other facilities? And does that come into play as far as death within short periods of time?
May I answer?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I should have prompted you to go ahead and respond.
Okay. I'm Cheryl Hill. And the short answer to your question is no, we were not advised or provided with that information or data. And I will ask Nirnaya if he has any additional comments or anything to add.
So the data would say the person entered San Diego Central Jail and then it was moved elsewhere. And we absolutely don't have this kind of data. We have transfers, like total transfers, like 2,000 people this month or this year, I forgot, but no individuals. So we cannot calculate how many individuals stay there for a day or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10.
So you don't have anything that would tell us like an average of how many days an individual, on average, would stay at the central jail before being moved?
No, that would be most of those individuals would not die, and on people do not die, we don't have anything to grasp on. Just their total numbers in some time, in some units of time.
Okay. On the it's going to raise other questions, but I have to digest that first. Okay. For now.
Mr. Bisson, if you think of your additional questions, do you want me to come back to you?
I also don't have the process. I would really like to understand the whole process of admitting folks into the central jail, evaluating them, and then moving them to other facilities.
Well, that might come up as part of our conversation tonight about the Jail Processing Management Unit, JPMU presentation that we're going to get next.
Excellent.
So let's see if maybe that will answer your question. Are there other board members that have a question for the Mountain Whisper Light team? Anyone else? Okay, I think that many people got their questions answered last month, so.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair Pintar, Dr. Thomas actually submitted multiple questions and the Mountain Whisper Light will answer those accordingly.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. If you would like to answer those questions, please do. I believe you have them.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Dr. Thomas submitted 5 questions. The first question was, were all or the vast majority of the accidental deaths related? And the answer to the question is, first of all, we would need some clarification from Dr. Thomas by what he meant by related. However, in answering this question, we presumed that the term related refers to the manner or cause of death. So almost all of the deaths, 38 out of 44, were identified as an alcohol/drug overdose manner of death. In the cause of death category, most were listed as acute, and please forgive my pronunciation, methamphetamine or fentanyl toxicity or intoxication, and sometimes both. Other drugs less frequently mentioned in this same cause of death category are cocaine, butyl fentanyl, heroin, citalopram, trazodone, gabapentin, tramadol, opiates, and benzodiazepines intoxication, fluorofentanyl toxicity, and MMDA. We did not look specifically at the timing of overdose deaths. However, a quarter of all accidents as proxies occurred on booking day or day one. Nearly half occurred within the first 7 days in jail. I'm moving now to Dr. Thomas's second question. Were any of them subsequently discovered to have been homicides? Our answer is we received no data about specific discoveries of homicide or otherwise. This was not an investigatory study of that type of data. We analyzed the data we obtained from SDSO, which provided primarily manner, means, and causes of death as recorded by SDO's records. There were no updates or subsequent discoveries provided. Dr. Thomas's third question. Do the mental health professionals screen all new inmates or just those who have red flags raised above their heads? Answer. To our knowledge, mental health professionals do not currently screen all new inmates. We are aware from our California Public Records Act request responses from SDSO that NAFCare was contracted to provide screening services and that new intake protocols were implemented that requested urine samples from those arrested who showed signs of substance abuse on a voluntary basis. This was most likely implemented during the 2023 to 2024 timeframe. However, the TML study included the 2012 to 2023 time period, and we did not receive any data to analyze. The fourth question. Would you recommend more intensive screening of different groups, parens, more mental health and drug screening for younger inmates, and more intensive medical screening for older inmates? Our answer. We recognize that people who present at booking typically sometimes present with quite a few health issues. They are vulnerable populations and oftentimes need medical or mental health support at booking. Based on a review of San Diego County and a few other jurisdictions, it appears that the deaths occurred across a wide range of ages and chronic and other diseases. This points to the fact that screening should be conducted of all age groups. Medical diseases such as diabetes and heart disease and conditions such as pregnancy-related illnesses have led to deaths when left untreated by medicines or failure to have a course of treatment and diagnostic evaluations by a medical professional. These illnesses occur in all age groups. However, in our study, we don't have any data on the people who did not die in jail. So we cannot compare categories of people or make data-supported recommendations in relation to different categories, for example, age and people with mental needs. We can't make recommendations of people, what specific differential screening processes would prevent in-custody deaths for those at risk. Thus, we are very limited in how we can answer this question. But based on our research, we would recommend the following. Developing a screening tool to identify high-risk presenters at booking. For example, people with an altered mental status, severely intoxicated, and unable to answer questions, pregnant or chronic diseases, and get them into a different setting, such as an emergency room, where they need to be seen by medical personnel and be cleared before being admitted to the jail. The fifth and last question. Since you probably don't get any more information since you probably won't get any more information from SDSO, can your findings name whose responsibility it is for these deaths? In other words, can you conclude that the SDSO does not wisely spend its resources and thus is directly responsible for the deaths of these inmates? Answer. We cannot arrive at that conclusion with any certainty due to the lack of data. The Mountain Whisper Light study did not include a full review or analysis of financial, personnel, or operations data. When such information was received, it was reviewed. Such a complete review or audit might be helpful in determining areas of waste, lack of medical supplies, to address the needs of the populations to be served, whether appropriate personnel were hired and retained, placement of personnel, work schedules, crowding conditions, adequate oversight and supervision, etc., and to determine how funds allocated to SDSO were spent. The Mountain Whisper Light requested some of this information, but very little was provided. I can now move to the questions of Board Member Bison. To make it easier to understand the answer, I think I will provide the introduction of Board Member Bison. I was wondering how the intake evaluation process is done with respect to people who are detained/arrested in San Diego County. I am under the impression that everyone who is arrested, males, close parens, go to either Vista or San Diego County Jail before being transferred to other holding facilities. Question, is this correct? I'm going to continue with the rest of the description. If so, it would factor why there are more of those deaths in San Diego County jails within a short time after being arrested. Given that there are so many of these short time span events in San Diego County Jail, it makes me wonder if the response is the booking itself. Next question. Do all males go to Vista or San Diego County Jail before being transferred to other facilities? Answer. Yes, as far as we know and can tell from the data we received, Vista and San Diego County Jail are the only two San Diego County detention facilities that are male booking facilities. Vista also is a booking for women. Again, individuals are booked only in San Diego County Jail, Vista, Las Colinas, then transferred to all other facilities. In Vista, at any moment, there is one female per 20.5 males. We note that CLERB's Chief County Deputy of Investigations, Lynn Setzler, researched the same question and found that, I quote, Vista and San Diego County Jail are the two SDSO booking facilities where male IPs are screened and classified. She provided a copy of Sheriff's Department intake/booking flowchart. Again, the Mountain West Light agrees with her findings. The second question from Board Member Bison is, if so, it would factor into why there are so many more deaths in San Diego County Jail within a short period of time after being arrested. Given that there are so many more of these short time span events in San Diego County, it makes me wonder, if the reason is the booking itself. The Mountain West Light did conduct relevant analyses and bookings about bookings, transfers, and releases, but it is likely not booking itself so much as what happens or does not happen at booking that contributes to deaths that occur so close to booking at San Diego County Jail. Over the study period, the rate of in-custody deaths in San Diego County Jail is nearly double the rate in Vista. What happens at booking is related to the staff, things like inadequate staffing, staff training, screening policies and procedures, whether or not a multidisciplinary team is needed for assessment. But also, not everyone who is booked at San Diego County Jail is transferred. In custody deaths also happen at South San Diego County Jail many months after booking, and some in-custody deaths happen at non-booking facilities. So, booking procedures and staffing are important factors, but not exclusively. We thank you for your time and attention, and we appreciate having the opportunity to work on this study.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl and Nernaya, for coming back and answering those questions for us tonight. I believe that concludes the questions that were left outstanding from last month's presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to let you go now. I know you're on the East Coast, so it's late there. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
We will now move on to item number 4, minutes, approval of the minutes. Is there anyone who'd like to offer a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I have a
You have a question? A comment about the
comment,
minutes? Yeah.
I was looking at the time we adjourned, and the time we entered closed session. Are we off by an hour? Wasn't last month
I wasn't here last month, so I don't know the answer.
I think, well,
we off by an hour. No? Okay.
I was
Yeah.
under the impression that closed session adjourned at midnight last month.
those times are accurate.
Okay. So, with your question answered, Mr. Moody, are you still a second? Okay, thank you. So we have a first and a second. Mr. Mendelson offered the motion. Mr. Moody offered the second.
Got it.
And if you don't mind calling the roll for us.
Chair Pintar,
Abstain.
Vice Chair Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Bisson,
Yes.
Dr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Moody. Yes. Mr. Ware,
Abstain.
Mr. Woods. Yes.
And I believe the motion doesn't pass because we don't have,
Page 6.
so what do we do?
I will just.
It should have a red light on if your microphone is on, Ellen. Is it not working?
Okay, I can talk loud. Just for your situational awareness regarding the minutes, they are, you can just, if they look right per form, you do not need to abstain.
Okay.
There's no reason to abstain if you weren't here. It's normally, abstention when you can't really make up your mind. But just absence in and of itself does not require you to abstain from approving minutes.
Okay, so I can trust my colleagues that they believe that the minutes are correct. If you would call the roll again, please.
Thank you. Again?
Yes.
Okay. Chair Pentar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mendelson.
Yes.
Mr. Bisson,
Yes.
Dr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Moody. Yes. Dr. Thomas, not here. Mr. Ware,
Yes.
Mr. Woods, yes. Okay.
Thank you. And so now I believe the motion passes and the minutes are approved. We'll move on to item number 5. We are going to have a presentation from the Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Jensen, are you here? There you are. Thank you. Regarding the Jail Population Management Unit. This is a request that we made. We have a lot of cases in which we are frequently looking at the records of how detained persons are assigned to different units within the detention facilities. So thank you for being here.
Patient Management Unit. If I refer to it as JPMU,
We understand.
okay, right on.
I'm going to ask you though, if you could push the microphone a little closer to you because you're kind of coming in and out, at least.
No
as part of
problem.
it.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that.
Thank you.
I talk a little loud, so sometimes.
No, this is perfect.
That goes a
Thank
little
you.
bit.
Thank you. It's hard to hear in here for some reason.
Oh, it's all good. All right, so JPMU, we consist of 1 lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and 27 deputies. These 27 deputies are spread out amongst our detention facilities. You have 3 detention deputies down over at George Bailey Detention Facility, Rock Mountain Detention Facility, East Mesa Reentry Facility, and South Bay Detention Facility. So those 3 individuals work out of Rock Mountain and George Bailey, and they are the ones in charge of supervising the IP population or incarcerated person population for essentially the Mesa area. You have 4 JPMU deputies who are assigned to the Los Colinas Detention and Reentry Facility. So it's 1 per team. You have 4 teams at any given facility. So teams 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we spread them across. You have 4 JPMU deputies at the Vista Detention Facility, and you have 16 at San Diego Central Jail, so 4 per team. So duties, responsibilities of our units. So our deputies are in charge of the interviews of incarcerated persons to determine initial classification and classification code number. We go through a 1 through 6, which we'll go over in another slide here in a little bit. They determine appropriate housing after reviewing their criminal history and their past incidents and their current charges. They coordinate inter and outer facility transfers and DNA collection tracking. They do administrative separation reviews and classify reviews in general and biannual transgender reviews. They screen individuals for program eligibility. They are responsible for the SB 54 tracking. They conduct weekly wellness checks with the help of our admin staff at our facilities, as well as our mental health staff, our medical staff, and our counseling staff. They complete state hospital and fire camp packets and ensure prison packets are received as well. They also provide training on various JPMU topics to line staff as needed. And they constantly monitor our jail population levels to ensure that we are not too influxed at one facility or another at any given time. And they collect and compile data for statistical reporting. So these numbers right here are our average daily population. These numbers were from May 28th, 2026. This number obviously fluctuates on any given day, but we average around 4,200 incarcerated persons on any given day. Breakdown for classification type, again, this was all from May 28th. You had 2,859 mainline IPs. So these are just your General incarcerated persons, we'll go over wristband colors in a minute too, but just for your information, they wear a blue wristband to signify that they're mainline. Protective custody IPs, we had 940. These are your yellow banded incarcerated persons. They're in our protective custody for any one reason, but again, I don't want to take away from this slide coming up here in a little bit to not confuse anybody, go too quick. Our incarcerated person workers, they wear a white wristband. We had 521 spread out through the facilities. We have incarcerated workers over at East Mesa Detention Facility, George Bailey Detention Facility, South Bay, East Mesa, Vista, and then Las Colinas. The only current facility we don't have them actually housed in is Rock Mountain Detention Facility. Administrative separation, we had 192 individuals classified as administrative separation. They wear an orange wristband. Green banded assaultive escape risk, that's 249 individuals. So assaultive escape risk, meaning that they're either assaultive to staff or other IPs, they have a history of it. And then escape risk is kind of the self-explanatory. They have an escape risk either with a history of escape with us or prison or whatever different detention facility they've been in before. Keep separate alls, we had 24 throughout the county. And then sexually violent predators, we had 5. Those are black banded individuals. Those are civil commits from the courts.
Next slide. Thank you.
So again, numbers by facility, this was on 528 as well. So our levels fluctuate on any given day, but on 528, our snapshot, we had 985 IPs at Central Jail, which is our downtown facility, 925 at George Bailey, 222 at the East Mesa Reentry Facility, 260 at South Bay Detention Facility, 633 at Vista Detention Facility, 505 at the Las Colinas Detention and Reentry Facility, and then 616 at our Rock Mountain Detention Facility. So our average day for our classification deputies, at San Diego Central Jail, they do about 80 to 90 bookings a day. That's between day and night shift, all 4 teams. Vista Detention Facility, they're about 35 to 50 bookings a day when I was looking at the numbers and kind of crunching them through. I'm not a math guy, so I kind of gave the best average I could on that one. Las Colinas, we had about 20 to 30 bookings a day. And then again, with our initial classification screenings at these facilities with STAR, so San Diego Central Jail and Vista, and I should have put one, oh, I did at Las Colinas. So these facilities not only do the initial classification screening upon booking, but they also have the other responsibilities and duties that all of our other JPMU deputies are responsible for on any given day. So they have that added duty of classifying and speaking to these individuals when they're coming into custody on top of the reviews and everything else that I covered on the other slide. So they're a little busy on any given day. George Bailey Detention Facility, Rock Mountain, and East Mesa and South Bay, they may not do the bookings like the other facilities do, but when you look at the numbers from the previous slide altogether and add that up, that's their area of responsibility is numerous amounts of IPs. So the reviews, everything that comes with that, they're on an expanded sense of how many IPs they have to do on any given day. So our training over at JPMU, so when we select a new deputy to become part of our JPMU, they go through 28 days of training. This must be able to demonstrate decision-making and ability to multitask, so sound decision-making. Obviously, decision-making is a hopeful, but sound decision-making, of course. Deputies receive a weekly evaluation on their progress and are debriefed on areas to work on if applicable. Deputies will also be trained and refreshed on numerous law enforcement systems as it relates to IP information and their history. And deputies are also given the appropriate the opportunity, to work at other facilities while they're on training. So our trainees usually start at San Diego Central Jail. It tends to be our busiest. Like I said, they have the booking aspect of it. They have all the other daily duties. So to give them a different sense of what the whole unit is about, they are able to go to George Bailey Detention Facility with their training officer for a day. They get to experience what it's like to work down that way. They go to Las Colinas for a day just to see the male and female intake aspect of it. They go to Vista as well just to kind of see the numbers of you by yourself and booking about 30 to 50 people by yourself. And then they get to experience everything while they're on training just so they're more well-rounded in case we need them to work at any given facility at any given time. So this is the wristbands that I was talking about and the 1 through 6. So as mentioned on here, there's numerous factors as to why an IP or an incarcerated person is assigned a specific classification level and type. These factors can include what type of crimes they're currently being charged with, if they were incarcerated previously and what their level of criminal sophistication is, and if they have a history of violent assaultive actions. There's also not a one size necessarily fits all for any one IP. So just because IP Smith is classified one way, IP Johnson wouldn't be necessarily classified the exact same class code. It all depends on their history and their criminal sophistication, what they're currently in for, what they were in for before. Do they have previous incidents while in custody? When they talk to outside entities such as CDCR or other camps that they've been into, have they had incidents at those facilities that would rate them a higher level than one person than the other? So they not only work with just our own classification system and our incidents that we have reported ourselves, but they'll deep dive and they'll go into, if they were arrested in Arkansas and they see something on there that stands out as far as charge wise, like an escape charge, they'll call Arkansas because obviously every state kind of has a different, definition of what an escape is, right? So they'll call them, they'll get the incident from them, they'll get information and kind of determine, okay, is it rated as a escape or do they just not show up for work for low one day and what have you? So again, our classification levels 1 through 6. Once they're done screening these individuals, looking at all their history and everything, they'll sit there and give them a 1 through 6 rating. So 6 being your highest level, obviously, in Central County custody. Usually that's someone that's very prone to violence, high criminal sophistication. They may have high gang ties to XYZ gang, you name it. So that's where the 1 through 6 comes from. So 1, 2, 3, that's going to be your low level type IPs. And then 4, 5, 6, that's going to be your high level, if you will, IPs. So classification reviews. So every 45 days, each incarcerated person is reviewed. BSCC tells us it's up to 60 days, but we make sure not to hit that 60-day limit. So we do it every 45 days. So we're not coming close to being over when they're supposed to be reviewed for their classification level. So they have a system every morning. They run it about 3 times a day. It's automated and populated through our gym system. So it kind of takes the manual of having to count on 10 toes to figure out how many days somebody's been in. And they'll reclassify them off of their criminal behavior. They'll look at their incidents that they have their charges changed, have they been sentenced, unsentenced, have they gotten any new charges? Various information like that to determine, okay, is this individual going to stay as a level 1, 2, or 3, or are they going to bump up to a 4, 5, 6, or from a 4, 5, 6, are they going to come down to a 1, 2, 3? So they got to take everything in consideration to see what this person's new classification level is going to be. They do rebooks and recalcs. Again, they occur every day. These are coming from the courts. So the courts are coming in and letting us know through the system that an individual has been sentenced to however many days in county custody or prison, what have you. So they'll take all that in consideration as well with these reviews. So on top of the 45-day reviews, they also do these rebooks and recalcs as they come in from the courthouse and see what charges they're getting added or dropped. Incarcerated persons may also request to have their classification be reviewed by submitting a request to the classification unit. So we do have IP request forms inside the housing units that are available for them inside the day rooms. They can also request for a form if they're out. But honestly, really any paper will do. If they have a piece of scrap paper and they want to write to JPMU and or anybody for that matter, they simply write who the unit's to. They give it to the deputy in the housing unit. That deputy ensures that it gets over to the proper area, and then we respond them from there. Just because you don't have an actual, IP form doesn't stop you from being able to request things from us. So these are again routed to JPMU for review. We give them the response back and let them know. Also for their ability to request when we do these wellness checks that I had mentioned before, where they're inside the modules and they're in there with mental health, they're in there with health staff, and they're in there with the counseling staff. The IPs can talk to our JPMU deputies because they're there and present. Bring up any concerns they may have as far as their classification, request a transfer, request their class code drop down or what have you, and the deputies will get back to them from there with an answer after they're done with the wellness checks. And I think that is it for the presentation. If you got any questions, though.
I am certain there will be questions. So
No, no worries.
don't go anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere. You're good.
Okay, so if an IP requests to be reclassified, how long does it take that request to get processed? And when do they get their reply?
So as soon as we get it, our deputies, as soon as they get the request, they're going to reply to it. They're going to talk to them in person if it warrants a further, hey, I'd like to be transferred to XY facility or reclass down or whatever the case may be. They'll take their look at their history. If they're about to reclass them down from, say, a level 4 to a 3, for instance, right? They'll take a look at the criminal history, see if there's anything keeping them at a level 4 as far as charges, sentence to prison, things like that. They'll actually go speak to the individual as well, let them know, hey, we are going to bump you down, which does give you a little bit more access to our reentry programs and everything else. And talk to the individual, make sure they have no concerns going down to a lower level or at another facility, whatever the case may be. And then we'll go back and insert in the system, and then we change their classification up. So it's usually about a day or two, because they need to get it from the housing unit. It gets dropped off in the mailboxes. We get it. So about a day or two till we get back to them.
Okay. Additionally, if somebody is concerned for their safety and they want to be reclassified because of that, does that get a priority, or does it still take a day or two?
No, so if they're expressing any kind of safety concerns whatsoever, we're going to get that immediately. If a deputy sees it on the request, because the request do get screened by the deputies in the housing units, and in order to determine what area it's going to go to. So they skim it down, they see if it needs to go to medical, us, what have you, right? So as soon as they see anything safety concern wise on there, they're immediately going to take that IP, separate them. They get us involved. We go talk to them to find out what the safety concern is, to see if it's just an issue with an individual, say, so we can put a keep separate from that individual, so those people aren't housed together anymore and they won't come across each other again while in the county system. Or do they need protective custody because they just found out they were charged with XYZ crime or what have you, and now they're fearing for their safety for that? We'll talk to them immediately. We'll go over the options with them and kind of deep dive why they have safety concerns to really get a better picture of how we can better help that individual.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, sir.
Mr. Ware?
Good evening. Thank you for the report. Well done.
No, thanks,
Appreciate it. I have 3 questions. You mentioned there is a such thing as one of the facilities have too much of an influx. You guys will make some adjustments to that process. Can you explain to me, first of all, what is the definition of is too influx? And give me an example of what you would do to remedy that situation. And then number 2, in any type of in-custody death or an assault or something like that, is a member of JPMU interviewed as part of the process of that investigation? And then number 3, what was it? Oh, so the additional training that you guys receive, is none of that training available in the academy? Is it specialized training, or, and do you have new deputies eligible to be part of JPMU?
So, and sorry if I asked you to repeat some of the questions there. So number 1 was the influx in facilities, correct? So if there's an influx, and example would be if, say, an individual comes in and they have a concern that they need a lower bunk, lower tier for, say, ADA needs, or they have a seizure disorder that they can't go into a top tier of the module, they can't have a top bunk inside of a module, they have to be on a lower one. So that's what I mean by influx. If we see that individual needs that specific type of housing, if we can't find it in the housing area because, say, all the lower bunks and the lower tiers are taken at that moment, our deputies will go into each one of those individuals in that housing unit they're about to be housed into, or that class code, and they're going to screen and see, okay, who actually needs the, say, lower bunk, lower tier. Do they have ADA concerns already inside of there, what have you? If that person's clear and they don't have anything, that's just where they're assigned to, we'll take that individual, we'll transfer them to a different housing unit because they don't necessarily have a restriction to go to another facility or another module or top tier. And that way we can get them into that bed. So that's what those transfers start coming out. And that's what I mean by an influx, is if we have too many individuals who have those concerns, we need to find that appropriate housing for them so that we can meet those needs for them. And that involves transferring people out, moving them different modules, moving in different facilities, and making sure that we give that person the appropriate housing that they need. as far as the interviewing for in custody deaths, right? So our
Assault.
Oh, an assault. So when there's an assault that happens or anything, there is obviously a crime report that gets written. An ISR gets written as well, and then our deputies get flagged in the system that this person has been involved in some kind of incident, and they'll take a look at the victim, they'll take a look at the suspect, and they'll see, okay, what type of assault was it? Was it a civil fight? Was it something where the person grabbed a weapon and started trying to use it on the other IP or what have you? They take that and look, okay, does that individual now need to be bumped up in the class level? Do they need to be put in greens because this is their fifth fight in 6 days? Does that person warrant now a assaultive risk to other IPs and it needs to be indicated as such with their clothing and wristband change do the greens? And then they look at the victim and go, okay, why was the victim assaulted? So some of the times we'll get individuals let us know why they did it. If not, we'll talk to that victim and hopefully they let us know what's going on. Was it a simple misunderstanding? Did they get new charges? What have you? From there, our deputies again will talk to them about those safety concerns I had mentioned before and see if they have any new ones. Was this just a one-off thing? Did you guys just have an argument about something that escalated, like everyday life does? Or is this something that stems a little further and warrants a little bit more safety for you and transferring to housing unit and classification change? So we're involved with that. As far as the deaths go, our deputies will complete a packet for the investigation team as far as their history goes. So we'll print out their criminal history, we'll print out Jim's logs reports for them, where they were housed previously, everything like that, and we'll give that over to the investigators when they come over, and then our homicide team deals with the actual investigative part of it. And then
So you guys are contacted every time.
yeah, so we create a packet every time I get notified, let the captains notify, everyone's kind of notified up and down the chain, and we are letting known of what's going on. The packets are in boxes, and they're giving that over to the homicide team, so that way they can process and do what they need with it, investigate. And what was the third question?
So it sounds like a highly specialized unit.
Oh, the training, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It jogged my memory right there when you said it.
Oh, no, it's a lot been thrown at you. Appreciate it.
No, no worries. So a brand new deputy from, say, the academy, they're not going to be quite sophisticated enough in the sense of how jail operates and the little nuances that we deal with or things to look out for, or say being able to identify different tattoos based on gangs or whatever the case may be. So we want them to get a little bit more experience under the belt first, get used to some incidents, talk to individuals, look at different tattoos, look at different incidents, and really pay attention to the history. They get a very brief training in the academy on how our law enforcement systems work. And then once they get in the JPMU and they've used it for quite some time, we kind of go in and our training officers step in and go, okay, you've used, say, buttons 1 through 5 in our system, right? Okay, now we're going to expose you to buttons 6 through 10. And this is going to give you X, Y, Z more information than this does, because this at the line level, you only need to know so much for the basics. But when we get down to the classification portion of it and really getting this person's class code right, we need to dig a little bit deeper. And that's where we start showing them the deeper aspects of those law enforcement systems to see how we connect with a different state and contact CDCR and everything else and find out really about this person's extensive history as opposed to just their county history that the normal line deputies would have access to. And then we do go to different trainings. I just had our 5 of our deputies go to the gang conference that was just happening not too long ago. They go learn and speak to experts over there. We always look for different opportunities to go see how other counties classify. I know we just went to Riverside and did some training up there with them to see how their system works. So we're always kind of trying to pull in as much information as expertise as we can from any entity to help better our deputies make a better determination on how to class somebody.
You are the right man to have up here to represent. Great
I
job,
appreciate it,
great
sir.
job. Thank you.
I believe we had Mr. Mendelson and then Mr. Woods, did you have a question? And Dr. Brown, I know, had his hand up. Dr. Brown did. And then you, okay. Jim, go ahead.
Thank you, Lieutenant Jensen. We've submitted some questions and I know we got some answers back from you. One of the questions that you were given was, what are the 3 biggest challenges that you have in classifying the inmates? And I note that it appears housing space was one of them. Another was dealing with ADA needs. And then lastly, a growing PC population. I was a little surprised in that I was expecting your biggest challenges would have been dealing with mental health challenges, gang membership, and informants and things like that.
So as far as our gang members and things like that and our challenges there, Um, it's a challenge at any given system, but that's a challenge with, I would say, any jail. You can't necessarily stop somebody from joining a gang and carrying out things inside the facilities and things like that. But our deputies do a pretty good job on screening everyone. And if someone's like, say, a higher ranking member of a gang that they're able to identify, we're able to at least quickly separate that individual so they can't have as much influence amongst everyone else to cause bigger problems. So the gang part, it's always kind of an issue, but it's not our biggest. Our biggest is that housing issue, simply because we have a lot of construction going on for facility improvements at our facilities. So it's just cutting down a little bit on bed space while we improve those facilities to better accommodate our IP population when they come in, to better accommodate those ADA needs as they come in, and ensure that we have enough beds for those individuals when they come in, and we can accommodate those wheelchairs and people with the lower bunk, lower tiers, and everything else that's coming into custody, unfortunately. But while they're in custody, we want to make sure that those individuals have their needs met, and they're not just going to the wayside and, they're getting brushed off from what they actually need. Just because they're in custody doesn't mean that we can't take care of their ADA needs to the best of our abilities. We need to and we must. And that's what we're trying to do with these facilities improvements, is make sure we have enough bed space for all these individuals, and appropriate bed space, not just enough, right? So that's our biggest thing right now, is just that influx of people coming in and beds just being out of line for that and out of service. As far as the PC population goes, it is a challenge. Our PC population is growing.
Do you have a statistical, I know you said that it grows continuously. Do you have like a timeline of how fast it's been growing over the last few years?
We keep daily track of our IP population, so we'd have to go back and historically look at everything. I can just tell you from, say, experience, I've been on for 19 years. When I started 19 years ago, we had probably 2 modules in the county with protective custody IPs. We're up to about 7, 8. So the population is tenfolded since I've been on it, that 19 years. And it's just various safety concerns that individuals have, whether it be they're taking the steps to remove themselves from the gang life, and now they're trying to better themselves, but that's now causing issues with their former gang members. So we had to give them protective custody. If they come into our facility with charges that they have concerns about, that mainline IPs may not agree with, for whatever reason, we're seeing that a lot come in. So it's just a lot of safety concerns that individuals are having. And we're obviously not going to shy away and steer those people away from joining a protective custody unit. So we're going to talk to them and better classify them and make sure they have a safer confine than not, based on their needs.
So going back to the gang thing, I mean, obviously you, in your training, you must know who are rivals and who aren't rivals and who gets along. I know in neighboring counties, a pretty good idea how the class text works. And a lot of it has to do with, there is a phenomena that where they, on the tiers, they have shot callers. And the shot callers require all the inmates to show them their paper, which is their court thing. And I'm assuming that that probably happens here, and that's something you have to kind of follow up on, because those shot callers from in other counties appear to actually do a lot to keep safety on their tiers.
Yeah, so we do have what you would call quote unquote shot callers inside the modules. Our deputies on the floor, they do try and pay attention to more influential individuals inside of there. As they're working the housing units, our JPMU deputies, when they come in, they'll try and look for identifiers such as tattoos, the way they're talking. Sometimes these guys will just freely let you know who they're running with on the streets these days. But it really comes down to our housing deputies that do a great job paying attention to what's going on in their module, paying attention to whose cell is getting visited more or what have you, and really deep diving into that person, giving us the information so that we can work in collaboration with some of our other units to figure out who this individual is, and really try and stop that influence from them, running this racket in the facility, which, you're already incarcerated, you have enough to deal with, and now you got to deal with that. We don't want that either. So we try our best to stop that influence.
And I noticed you have the category of SVP, and those are the civil commitments, black banders apparently.
Yes.
However, and I'm assuming that when you are doing this and you're seeing what they're charged with, there's a real danger to anybody that's charged with any sort of sexual crime, because inmates don't hold that in high regard, and or anybody that commits a crime against children. So you don't need to answer that. I'm assuming that when you described that you did that. One last question real quick is, about 15 years ago in 2011, the state enacted AB 109, where they allowed you all to do their job of housing a lot of prison inmates. And those are people that are sentenced to more than 365 days in custody. Does that have an impact in you when you get these state prisoners? And I realize they're low level, they're not the most violent, but they're a little bit more sophisticated when they come on down here. And then likewise, in the prison system, they have what's called special needs yards, because a lot of inmates renounce their gang membership, debrief out and all that, but they require a great deal of protection because they have no respect from other gang members. And so what's the impact of that AB 109 on you?
Sir, first off, if you want a job at our unit, you're very versed in all these gangs. We're more than willing to take you over. So the impact on that, I would say when it first started, when I first saw it in 2011, when it was a tremendous impact, right? You had a lot of people coming in who were highly criminally sophisticated and really showing the other inmates or incarcerated persons how to conduct their business, if you will, how to better make things, how to better get around the system, things like that. I would say now, 2026, it's still an impact, but it's kind of weighted in the system enough where it's not really heavily felt, if that makes sense. So the SNY thing, of course, because as they're coming back from prison and they're going over that way and hitting the SNY yards, the sensitive need yards, those individuals are coming back to protective custody, and that's causing the influx again inside of that. So I'd say that's kind of where it's really hitting the most, is as they're coming to us, say they're with us as a general population IP, once they go to prison, whatever happens on that side of the system, unfortunately for them, they become an SNY individual. And then now when they come back into county custody, our guys and again, gals in the unit, they interview them and they go, yes, I'm SNY, I'm sensitive need yards now. And we go, okay, well, you're going to be protective custody here. You can't just go in the main line because IPs talk. And we don't want that individual getting found in a main line when they shouldn't be.
Thank you very much. You guys have a very difficult job.
No, thank you, sir.
Dr. Brown and then Mr. Woods.
Yes, sir. I can hear you just fine.
Okay, there it is. I have a couple of questions, and some of them might be better if I have probably after this, maybe I have to talk to Mr. Kalinda about following up with you on some of the questions. What's your staffing levels like on a daily basis in terms of what's the ratio? Do you feel like the staffing is adequate to handle the number of incarcerated people there?
As far as in the line or like classification wise or?
Just period in the jails. You feel like you have enough staff?
I think any facility and cross law enforcement anywhere, in any detention facility, you ask the prisons, you ask the jails, we could always use more individuals. Anybody who wants to put a star in their future, come on down. But it is one of those things where anytime we can get more staffing in there, the better for everyone, right? It's better for the IP population, safety-wise, better for our staff safety-wise. So I would say that's just kind of a general concern across law enforcement in general. I just came back from a jail conference in Wisconsin that had corrections and sheriff's offices from around the country, and everyone had the same, sentiment of, yes, we could all use more staff. So I'd say it's kind of a clear thing across the states that, anytime we can get more, the better.
My next question is, what do you all do to take care of each other? Because the better you take care of each other, the better you take care of the people who are under your responsibility, like in terms of how well do you all take advantage of, I'm sure you do, the wellness programs, and I'm interested in knowing what are some of the things you do to show that you're the deputies responsible for the safety, but how do you engage the incarcerated people on a daily basis? A lot of people, they're in jails because they might have made a mistake or something, like sometimes they're repeat offenders, but how do you humanize the relationships? How you guys taught to do that?
So it's one of those things where you are taught inside the academies that it's kind of like you just said. Just because you're incarcerated doesn't mean that, you're the worst person in the world, right? You made a mistake, something unfortunate happened, what have you, and now you're in our custody, right? You're still someone's mom, dad, sister, husband, what have you. You're still a human being. So our training officers, our sergeants, our supervisor at the facility, the academy, we make sure to drive that in to our individuals, our new people coming in and working the facilities, that yes, you are coming into an environment that is inherently dangerous. Yes, it's got its risks, and yes, it's got its bad days, and obviously its good days. But at the end of the day, that individual is still an individual. You're still a human being. That person still has thoughts, feelings, and opinions. That's still someone's loved one. I don't know why necessarily 100% why they're in there. I can't tell you, what brought them into our custody, if you will, other than what's in a black and white piece of paper and their charges on there or what have you, right? That's for a judge, jury, and everyone else to decide. Me, I just want to make sure that while you're in custody, you're getting at least the minimum needs that you need. You're getting the health checks that you need. You're getting your mental health needs met. You're getting your food. You're as safe as you can be. I'm here just to treat you like an individual and keep that on a human level where I could be running into you tomorrow. You're working businesses just like everyone else. I've got a job. These people got jobs. I'm going to see them out and about in public. So we really drive that home with all of our new deputies coming in that just because you're in here and just because they're in here doesn't mean you need to treat them any different. That's still a human being. So you need to treat them as such.
That's all the question I have for now. Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it.
No worries, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Mr. Woods?
Yes. First off, thank you very much. Great presentation.
No, thanks, sir.
Very informative for us. My question is kind of along the lines Dr. Brown was asking. I noticed at the beginning, you told us, I believe there were 3 facilities that had four deputies assigned, and then one was 16.
Hmm?
And I'm wondering what their shift schedule is, how long they work. Are they available 24 hours a day? Is this a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 position? What kind of 4 people, how are they covering that shift? That's what.
Yeah, great question. So 4 facilities, we have the 3 individuals down there at the Mesa complex. So George Bailey, Rock Mountain, East Mesa, and then South Bay, which isn't necessarily on the Mesa. It's a little bit down the way in Chula Vista area. So our deputies work on the team schedule. So they work 12.5-hour days. So we have every day that we covered, at least during the day shift, over at the Mesa facilities. During nighttime, if there's a classification need, what they'll do is they'll call San Diego Central Jail, and our deputies from there will respond to whatever needs they have at, say, 2 in the morning. We just don't have the deputies to work overnight over there, but we do at Central Jail. So they'll call them over there. They all still work 12.5-hour shifts. They work 5 days on, 2 days off, and then obviously the other days are covered by the other deputies. But there is a JPMU deputy there 24 hours a day at Central Jail, Vista, Las Colinas. And if anyone needs anything from outside, they just call the number over there and get a hold of the unit.
Great. Thank you very much. That answers it.
No worries, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Moody?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that there's 6 different levels of the IPs. Are any of them mixed? Are they all, if you're level 3, you're housed with level 3 folks? Is there any mixing there or?
No, so 1, 2s, and 3s, your low-level IPs, they're all housed together in various areas. Inside of our 4, 5, 6, the 4s and 5s in mainline, they're all housed together. 6, if you're a level 6, usually that means you're going to be in administrative separation because of your prone to violence or criminal sophistication. There's a lot to it to make you a level 6. It's not just we give it to everybody, right? I don't have an exact number on there, but we don't have an entire population of level 6 IPs, in ADSAP and doing their thing over there. PC population, 1 through 5, they are housed together currently right now. So just because they're a 1 through 5 doesn't necessarily mean someone with a 5 or a 4 has a higher criminal sophistication than, say, a 3 in that safety population. It just could be because of their charge, and whatever the case may be, say it's a vehicular manslaughter charge or a murder charge, but they have no criminal sophistication. That inherent violent charge is going to get you a level 4, but doesn't necessarily mean the level 3 has more sophistication to you, if that makes sense. So the PC population, because of housing, we keep the 1s through 5s together. And then in the mainline population, because we have 2,300 plus, whatever it is, we have to separate those individuals 1 through 3, 4 through 5.
Okay, thanks. Now, when they come in, you have a number that are uncooperative, in the initial process. So they get classified anyways. You do your criminal history check and the other checks. But are the deputies made aware that they've got somebody who was non-cooperative and there's no criminal history, are they made aware they've got somebody who may have been misclassified?
Yeah, so when they do that, the deputies, they'll let us know if somebody's being uncooperative coming into our area when they tell us, hey, this person's ready to be classified. So they don't necessarily hit a misclassification part of there, if that makes sense, because our deputies are actually going out there and seeing if that person is actually uncooperative. they just may not like the deputy that brought them in, and they'll talk to my individuals and my staff. If they don't want to talk to them, at least they're sitting there talking to them, like, no, hey, I'm JPMU. I'm here to classify you. Do you have any safety concerns? And they're at least trying to get the individual to answer something. But if they don't, then our staff is the ones that are asking and aware that they're uncooperative in the first place, and they'll go back and classify them.
Okay. And my last question is this a sought after position? Do you have a lot of, when you have a vacancy for one of your guys, do you have a lot of applications, or what is the process, and what's the interest?
Oh, yeah, so we'll put it out there, and fortunately for us, we are a unit that is sought after by the individuals working the line, just because they want to see the other side of how the facilities operate. So you have your line time, and you're able to do the daily operations there, not to take away from any of that, because it's a lot too. But they kind of want to see the other aspect of it. They want to see how that individual gets housed. They want to better learn how that individual is classified the way they do, or how to better talk to these individuals that are high-ranking gang members. So we do have a lot of applicants that put in and want to be part of the unit to help make the process that much better.
So once they apply, is it an interview process, or is
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll apply. There's an interview process. You need a minimum of at least 2 years working for the office and one of our detention facilities. And then we'll ask you a series of questions and see if you can answer them. And then it's a pass fail from there. And then we talk around from there and see what this person's experience is like, what their background is, and we'll try and pick the best fit for the unit.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I have one last question. Can you please put up the slide about the classification review categories? That was, I think it was like maybe third to the last, second or third to the last.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 2 slides back from there.
Classification reviews. Looks like this.
1 slide back. Yes.
There it is. So on rebooks, and it says that the recalculations occur every day, because that was one of the questions I had before we got to this portion. I wondered how often is the population reviewed to determine if someone needs to be moved around?
Of course. So the rebooks and the oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
My bad.
Long question.
Nope, no worries.
I noticed the categories, reasons why you would look for a reclassification on a daily basis. So charges are dropped, someone's sentenced, disciplinary incidents, other significant incidents documented. I don't see mental health care or health care on there at all, because I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that some of the facilities have more or less care available to, particularly for people with mental illness.
Uh-huh.
How does that come into the calculation? Because, for example, sometimes an incarcerated person might not be diagnosed from the outset as having a severe mental health challenge, but during the course of them being detained, it is learned that perhaps their mental health challenges are more severe and they could use different care, possibly be moved to a different facility. Tell me how that happens, and why is it not part of this slide right now?
Oh, no problem. So I didn't put on there just for space sake on there, but I'm glad you asked the question. So when someone has any kind of mental health needs or anything like that, if it's, say, on the main line and someone is, experiencing a mental health crisis, whatever the case may be, the deputies will let us know in that setting that, hey, this individual, here are the actions that they were doing. Here's what we observed. Our deputies will get in touch with the mental health clinicians, as well as those deputies in the housing unit, and they'll get the individual screened by the mental health clinician to see what's going on. Is this a mental health need? Is it a behavioral thing? They'll interview them and find out from them. They let us know. If the person's coming back and we notice in the history that they have a previous housing in our psychiatric stabilization unit, or if they have a regional center client, or they've done time in a state hospital for their mental health needs, we see that automatically as well. And we talk to our mental health clinicians and let them know and put them on their radar that, hey, this individual's coming in. They do have a history of mental illness, or they just came back from one of the facilities up north where they've been previously housed for X amount of time, and we'll get them in the programs they need from there while talking to our mental health staff. We do have a outpatient step-down program that's currently at Rock Mountain Detention Facility. So those individuals take some form of medication to help stabilize them, help them with their mental health needs. They do group programs. The counseling over there is speaking to them and getting them reintegrated back into a mainline setting so that they can better cope with being involved in a population or having a cellmate or whatever the case may be, and offering them programs that help better their ability to heal and help them get them stabilized, and ensuring that they're on a proper regimen of taking their meds or showering or whatever the case may be, and really just helping the individual, sustain while in custody, but while trying to restore their mental competency to help them further themselves inside of our facilities and make sure that they're safe.
I want to preface this by saying I truly believe and understand that the sheriff's office is being asked to provide mental health care and health care to a degree that is not considered, that's not something a detention facility is completely equipped to do. I want to acknowledge that first. However, how frequently are you checking on the people that are in administrative separation or segregation? Because I am concerned that once someone is placed there and they're categorized as that that's where they need to stay, that's where they're left, and that might not be a good place for them. I'm really curious about how that is being monitored.
Yeah, no problem. Great question. So every 7 days, we do a review of everyone inside of our asset population. So every 7 days, our deputies are reviewing their incidents, their current, their previous, and they're taking everything into consideration and saying, okay, is this person still a, say, institutional behavior? Have they been following our guidelines? Have they been following the rules and not committing rule violations or having major incidents, things like that? So from there, they'll take a look at all that. They'll actually go talk to the individual once they see, hey, they haven't had an incident in, say, 60 days. And they'll go talk to the individual and be like, just talk to them. It's not anything kind of, grilling or anything like that. It starts off with, hey, how's it going? I'm here to talk to you about your classification and seeing if we can get you out of this situation and into a main line. How are you feeling about this? Do you have safety concerns when you're coming out? Do you have issues with X, Y housing, whatever the case may be? And they'll really talk to the individual before making that determination of they're good to go with being, reclassified from an asset inmate to mainline or PC or whatever the case may be, and coming out of that confined area and reintegrating back into the mainline population, if you will. So every 7 days, they're going through those. On top of that, every 7 days, they are in there weekly for that wellness inspection. So that happens inside of our asset population. So mental health, health staff, counseling, our deputies, they're in these asset modules readily and available and talking to them and seeing how they're doing, how they're maintaining. Do they need extra help from XYZ entity or whatever the case may be? And then we're able to reclassify them from there also to try and get these individuals out of administrative separation.
Thank you. I'm going to wrap us up there on this presentation because we are at 7:15 and we have 23 cases to review in closed session tonight, so I want to move us along. I have other questions, though, so I might ask Brett to have you come back another time. In particular, I would like to know how the JPMU unit is communicating with mainline detention deputies who are being asked to provide service with, well, I would like a separate discussion about how the two communicate. So thank you
that
very
works.
much for your time. We will go to, yes. Yes.
Administrative
Oh.
separation.
Separation.
So administrative segregation is old terminology. It's
Yeah.
administrative separation.
I thought it was the same thing. So,
It's essentially the same unit, it's just terminologies.
okay, we're going to move to public comment. How many speaker slips do we have?
One of the recommendations made was try to get family members into the jail to visit them as soon as possible. Incarcerated, try to get a family member. I think it's a good recommendation to try to get family. The traumatic experience. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Chair, we have 4 requests to speak for item
Thank
5.
So, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I apologize. Trying to move us along.
We have 4 requests to speak for item 5. How much time?
I'm going to give them a minute this time
Okay.
because we are getting late.
Okay.
We have a lot left to do on open session before we move to closed session.
We're going to start with Yusuf Miller.
1 minute.
1 minute, Youssef. The classification is very important when it comes to transgender, ADSEC or SEP, mental health and withdrawals, because those are the areas that we've had loss of life in. So was very interested in this JPMU. And basically, I must say I was kind of impressed with the presentation. But in classifications for the sake of withdrawal, we lost Elisa Cerna from a misclassification there for not quite understanding her situation. And similar to that, we lost Vienna Graneo in the same situation. And then we also, when it comes to admin seg or SEP, or if that's same as solitary confinement, we are lost people from the deterioration of their mental health. So these areas are really important. And the other classification that we've lost people in is ADA classification. So we need to take serious look at those, and hopefully that I'm sure they're aware of and sensitive to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Alejandro.
Thank you, Alejandro. The presentation was very interesting. I've been to Central Jail a couple times. It's a horrible place. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. And I think it's really interesting how folks are being classified. I think there's an entire movement happening across the state of California to close down our county jails and our state jails and our prisons. There's a whole movement that's happening. And I think that classification is exactly a reason why. We're looking at folks, we're criminalizing their trauma responses. And so deputies are assessing folks not by what they need, but by who they are on criminal record. And so that's not rehabilitation. Again, it undermines public safety. We don't know what folks need, and we're classifying them by the charges that they got, and that's not who they are. And so we should be allowed for folks to have a system that gives them what they need and doesn't, treat them as a criminal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Leslie Crawford.
Yes,
Les-
yes. May I give my time to Yusuf Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, Youssef. The booking process, where the state audit said that there should be these mental health nurses. I mean, we have, the question is whether they're at every single booking station, so we can mitigate those types of mental health declassification or misclassification, and putting people into cells that we have too many names for me to go through right now. But that's one of the concerns. If even in this unit, JPMU, as the presenter said, they can refer to mental health people, but I wonder how closely they should have a person attached to the JPMU. I think that would be a better idea, especially when it comes to going through in each facility when it comes through classification or reclassification. So that is in line with the audit. That probably be in line with Mountain Whisper Light as well. And I didn't see that. I just saw a lot of deputies. And I would not like for that to be a medical trained deputy, someone who has.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Brenda Settles.
I would like to give my time to Yusuf Miller.
Thank you, Youssef. Admin said review in 7 days. I really like it, but what are we looking for? I would like to know, what are those things that are reviewed in an admin set 7-day review? It's going to be really important into making sure that we really understand the situation of that person. The request for reclassification by the incarcerated person, great idea. I had a question about whether there was an administrative reclassification, but one of you already asked it, and it was already answered, so I'm not going to waste any more time on it. It was a great job. Protective custody versus ADSEC or solitary confinement. We need to know. I don't know, and I'm not sure whether the 192 people of ADSEC are overlapping with the 940 people in protective custody, or if there are beds missing or not available, are people being put in solitary, as has been reported to me and my team. So that number needs to be fleshed out, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more request from Darwin.
Good evening. Thank you. I had to step out. Since there was reference to the beds and the bunk beds and where people are placed, I think it's important that for CLERB to remember the history and that you've had folks like Frankie Greer that fell. He had a lawsuit close to $8 million because of his medical condition, never should have been put at the highest level for the bunk beds. And that also he was told that because he was black, that's where they would stick him, that the white folks would have the lower level. There is that very ugly history, and given the presentation you received tonight, there's no reference to that, which suggests that everything is warm and fuzzy and great with how it's operating. And I would hope that CLERB digs deeper, especially looks at this history, and if there are systematic problems, not just these isolated incidents, that you find a way to get that addressed. This is a good start, but again, I hope you do a lot more.
Thank you. Does that complete our public comment?
Yes, that concludes
Okay.
our speakers.
Thank you very much. So that concludes item number 5. Thank you, Lieutenant Jensen. Very good presentation. Really appreciate your time and staying and answering the questions tonight. We will move on to item number 6, Executive Officers Report. Mr. Kleina.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Brock Kleina. I'm the executive officer. My pronouns are he, him, his. Short presentation here. First priority for us right now is civil service. So Monday is our first civil service hearing that we are doing of 2026. Unfortunately for us, it's the first of 7 and 11 different individuals who have appealed the board's findings. So we will be extremely busy this fall with various civil service hearings. I wanted to give a big thank you to Commander Johns and Captain Smalls, who hosted me very recently to come to MSD, their offsite workplace, get to meet a lot of people, and really sit down and give me the nuts and bolts of MSD, which I know we get a lot of charts and flow charts. It is beyond explanation in a short period of time, but I really appreciate them taking the time to sit through with me with all the different vendors that are there, because we anticipate that our first medical review will be done at the next meeting, which is in August. Again, although there was a hearing in front of the juvenile court regarding these juvenile cases that we are going to be hearing today, there wasn't a final finding on a decision as to our public reports. And so he asked for a briefing on a couple of issues, which means after we get done tonight, for the public's purposes, we will not be able to release those immediately. Those will take some time upon the juvenile court's approval of our redacted findings. And just a quick recap, it was a very quiet month. Thankfully, we only had 2 GBIs from the sheriff's office, no in-custody deaths, and no GBIs from the probation department.
That is good news.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kleina. We will move on to number 7, the chair's report. I had a lot to say about the intercom recommendations that we're going to hear about later, but I'm going to keep it to, I'm going to leave it for our next item because we are running long on time. I also just wanted to mention that I believe we have a new investigator that was recently.
Well, we introduced him last meeting.
You
when
did?
you were in here.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, well, I want to welcome the new investigator myself tonight since I wasn't here. But I also just wanted to say that following our last couple of months of closed session discussions, deliberations, many of the CLERB board members have commented on the excellent reports that our newer, all of our investigators, but we have a relatively newer investigative team, and everyone has been very happy with the products that they are providing to us. So I just want to acknowledge that because it is said in closed session, and I would like the public to know that we have really good reports coming from our investigative team these days. That is it for me. I'm going to keep it quick because I want us to keep moving along. I will move on to item number 8, board member query for sheriff and probation liaison. Ms. Pena Diaz.
Good evening.
Hi, did you have anything to report out to us tonight?
No, I have no questions from the last one, so I have
Okay.
nothing to report.
Does anyone have questions for Ms. Peña Diaz before we let her go for the night? I just want to say that we appreciate the cooperation that you have given CLERB's team and staff. I know every time I check with Brett, he said that you've been very helpful. And I just want to state on behalf of this board and behalf of myself that with the challenges, it's be transparent. There've been a lot of challenges between CLERB and probation department. And our intent is that the youth that are in our detention facilities get good care and treatment. And that is what we're hoping for. And I would hope that is what everyone at the probation department would also want. So I'm hoping that we can work together to get through these conflicts and issues so we can do what we have been charged with as an oversight board. And that is our intent, to provide good care for the young people that are being detained.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me
Good
tonight.
night.
Okay. Mr. Jardura.
Good evening.
Hi. Did you have anything to report back to us tonight?
Not specific, just thank you and the board for allowing us to provide some presentations over the last few months. It's great that we can get here and give you a little bit of behind the scenes look, so we appreciate that.
And for the record, they came on short order from a request, so they
Ah.
really put this together quickly.
On the JPMU presentation.
And he's been very busy answering a significant number of questions that the board had for JPMU, so I appreciate that.
Thank you, and I really appreciated that presentation tonight. And we appreciated the presentation on the intercom system. Like I said, we're going to have some recommendations about it tonight, and that really came a lot from the guidance that we got from the presentation that we received. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We will move on to item number 9, new business. This is the nomination and voting for board chair, vice president, and secretary. So recall that we have appointed, I appointed a nominating committee, I think 2 or 3 months ago. It is Mr. Bisson and Mr. Woods. Will the nominating committee please present their report nominating a new slate of officers? Is one of you the chair? And I think that's you, Mr. Woods.
We have one person that said they would be willing to come back as the chair, and that's Ms. Pentar. And are we just doing the one, or
I think we can present the whole
can we
slate.
present them all?
Mhm.
And then for our vice is Mr. Jim Mendelson. And we had our secretary resign, so we do not have anyone for that position right now.
Can we nominate for the secretary then? Mr. Mendelson?
I had a conversation with Mr. Woods. I don't think he'll mind me sharing it, because we acknowledged that he didn't have a nomination, and he said he would be willing to do it if nobody else would. So I hereby nominate Mr. Woods.
Do we need a motion for that? Ellen?
Yes.
Okay, so you move that, we're not tonight. Okay, so Dr. Brown, I guess a second by
Second.
Mr. Mendelson. All those in favor? Mr. Woods, if you could call the roll.
Chair Pentar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mendelson,
Yes.
Mr. Bisson,
Yes.
Dr. Brown,
Yeah.
Mr. Moody,
Yes.
Mr. Ware,
Yes.
and Mr. Woods, yes.
Um,
We needed 6, right?
okay,
And we got
so the
7.
motion passes?
Motion.
Thank you. Ellen, can we take this as a slate, or do we need to do them individually?
Yes, now that Member Woods has graciously nominated and we have accepted that, now you may make a motion as to the entire slate.
Is there a motion to approve the entire slate? Okay, motion by Dr. Brown. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I think Mr. Moody beat you to it, Mr. Bisson. So Dr. Brown made the motion and Mr. Moody seconded the motion. And then when you're ready, if you could call the roll.
Okay, Chair Pintar,
Yes.
Chair Nicholson,
Yes.
Mr. Bisson,
Yes.
Dr. Brown. Yes. Mr. Moody,
Yes.
Mr. Ware.
Yes.
Yes.
I believe the motion passes, that it was unanimous. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for accepting me again as the chair. I appreciate it. We will move on to item number 10, unfinished business. This is a policy recommendation letter regarding the intercoms. The board has reviewed the draft recommendation. I think Mr. Kalina or Mr. Adams, Mr. Nolan is going to make the presentation tonight.
Good evening, Chair Pintar, Vice Chair Mendelson, board members. I believe I'm just going to read you the actual recommendations.
That would be
rather than the
great.
report.
Thank you.
So recommendation number 1, it is recommended that the SDSO add policy language and corresponding procedure addressing staff responsibility when an intercom is activated. For example, San Bernardino County policy includes the language, if an inmate is having an emergency, staff shall determine what the emergency is and take appropriate action. Staff shall immediately look up the inmate's medical information located in Jim's nets, medical alert screen, and provide information to health services staff. Second policy recommendation, it is recommended that the SDSO establish a policy and corresponding procedure for documenting activations of intercom systems that lack automated logging. This would provide independent verification of both activations and non-activations. Number 3, it is recommended that the SDSO adopt a policy requiring the retrieval of all intercom records from the 24 hours preceding any in-custody death in facilities equipped with systems capable of recording activations. And lastly, number 4, it is recommended that the SDSO include explicit policy language addressing abuse of the intercom system within the inmate rules and regulations to deter misuse. For example, the counties of Inyo and Sutter classify intercom misuse as minor rules violations, with repeated violations escalating to a major violation. Their policies require staff to advise inmates when misuse occurs and to initiate written discipline for repeated offenses, emphasizing consistent enforcement rather than ignoring improper activations. SDSO should similarly define intercom use as intended for emergencies, provide clear examples of appropriate activation, and highlight that misuse may result in discipline.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Are there questions or comments from the board? Thank you. Is that a motion to approve the recommendations, Dr. Brown? Okay, is there?
Seconded.
Wait, I'm sorry. We can't do that yet.
We should have public
Yeah, I'm
comment
sorry.
before we have a vote.
Sorry, I jumped the gun because I thought we had a motion already. We will move to public comment since there weren't any comments or questions other than Dr. Brown's comment. If there are people, public comment,
We have
Let's-
4 requests to speak for
Okay.
this item.
let's move to 1 minute.
Okay, we will start with Yusuf Miller.
Youssef, the policy recommendation, I like for the most part. I think I spoke before about the 24 hours before in custody death, the data for that. I would like it for it to be 48 hours, actually. I think that would be covering a wider swath of what I've seen coming up to a person's in custody death. So I would like for that to be amended, and the activation log for those who don't have that electronic capability, if I understood the recommendation, that an activation log would be important, so that when we talk about whether the deputy has turned down or whatever however they engage that information, they need to be held accountable for that. And if the system doesn't provide that, we need one that does. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Alejandro.
Thank you. Alejandro, as a taxpaying San Diegan, it's incredibly frustrating. I don't think there's even really words to describe the anger that one can feel for an in-custody death from our sheriff's department. I don't frankly think there's really any excuse for it. These are centers and these are institutions that are supposed to be caretaking folks that are going through some of the most traumatic experiences of their lives. And so the fact that they're coming into institutions and dying is frankly unacceptable. This is a sheriff's department that gets more than 1/3 of the public safety, of the San Diego County budget. They get close to a half of the public safety budget. There just frankly is no reason why this should be happening. So any recommendations that are being given, any policies that are being proposed to eliminate this needs to be accepted. So 48 hours is great as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should be.
Thank you. Next, we will call Deidre. Deidre?
Only sheriffs appear to have been used as resources for the intercom presentation last month. Did anyone interview incarcerated people about intercom use separate from previous investigations? The reason this matters is because when you look at the recommendations, one talks about deputies' quote responsibilities and the other talks about IP's quote misuse. Two different framings that led to two different discussions last month. One without mention of punishments or even consequences for deputies, and one with punishments for IPs. Punishing people in our jails is not part of this board's county charter. Holding deputies accountable is, and your current policy letter includes 0 discipline recommendations for them. When this started, CLERB seemed to want to discuss deliberate intercom muting by deputies, but this policy letter has strayed from your initial purpose addressing indifference by SDSO and instead villainizing those who have already been silenced.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will call Leslie Crawford.
Yes, may I keep my minutes to Yusuf Miller, please?
Yes.
The idea of looking up the inmates' information is really useful, especially if they have mental health conditions. I think it could be ignored by some people saying this person is just a pest and this person is just annoying, but it could be part of their mental health condition and they may have some serious needs. And when it comes to abuse from the IP, what does that mean? How are we breaking out abuse of the intercom system by an IP? We've had where IPs asked for toilet paper, IPs have asked for certain things that they needed. And because they've always asked for something, they may be disregarded. But we need to flush out, what does it mean for abuse? And you guys need to see that and delineate those. What does that mean? Back to the lookups. A lot of the people that we've served that had mental health issues that weren't quite looked up as they were yelling or banging on the door. And as they get desensitized to it, they've lost their lives.
Thank you. Next, we have Brenda Settles.
I also give my time to Yusuf Miller.
Yes, Yusuf Miller, they lost their lives. Some have flooded the toilets and some have done things that would be a definite annoyance to someone who works there in custody. But they are not the problem. They actually have a mental health condition. And this desensitization of these current issues can go into the human phase of people just blanking them out and ignoring them. All the while, our loved one is dying in the process. Our loved one is harming themselves. They're swallowing things. They're doing all kinds of things like that. And we've had examples of all of those different situations in our jails from the families that we support. So when it comes to looking up what is some of the factors that may affect the person when they're using the intercom system at a quote unquote abusive manner, I think we need to look at it carefully and clearly and delineate what do we mean when we say that.
Thank you.
Chair, that concludes our speakers for item 10.
Thank you. Now I can receive a motion, if there's a motion to accept the policy recommendation letter to be forwarded to the Sheriff's Department. Okay. 48 hours. Do we need to vote on the change separately, Ellen?
No, you can make the motion as Dr. Brown has framed it, and it'll need a second, and then any further discussion, and then there would be a vote if there is a second.
If we wanted to have discussion about the change, would we have to have the motion and the vote first?
You would have you have the motion made by Dr. Brown, you would need a second, and then you would have a discussion prior to a
Okay.
vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so there's a second. Any comment or question about the change? From any of the board members? No? Okay, then we can go ahead and have a vote. Mr. Woods, if you would call the roll.
Chair Pintar,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mendelson,
Yes.
and Mr. Bisson,
Yes.
Dr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Moody,
Yes.
Mr. Ware,
Yes.
and Mr. Woods. Yes.
Sorry.
Eight,
Okay, thank you.
approved.
Motion passes.
Motion.
Okay, thank you. We will move to item number 11, board member comments. There are comments from any of the board members before we wrap up tonight's open session. Yes, Dr. Brown.
Thank you. I think we got it, right? I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, and for saying, sharing with us. We're all part of the human spirit here tonight. There shouldn't be any light between us. Some of us make mistakes. I'm grateful to the sheriff department for the work they do. We're all part of a, big family. So I don't know, and just like in families, we all have disagreements. Some people are not treated the same in families, but we need to make sure that light between us is we get away from that. We got to be here for each other. That's all I'm saying, is that we got to be here. We're obligated to each other, all of us. And thank you for that. Thank you for the opportunity to say that.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Any other board comments? Okay, then we are, I'll ask Ellen, oh, I'm sorry, one more important comment. I wanted to remind the public that in July, we are not having a meeting. So there will be no meeting in July, and I'm reminding the board too, but for members of the public to know that we are dark in July. Okay. Thank you very much. Ellen, can you call us into closed session?
Yes, thank you, Chair Pintar, and congratulations. Item 12 of tonight's agenda is our closed session under 12A, Public Employee Annual Performance Evaluation of the Executive Officer pursuant to Subdivision B1 of Government Code Section 54957. Item 12B, Public Employee Discipline, Dismissal, and Release, discussion and consideration of complaints and reports pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. And this evening, we have 3 cases for summary dismissal and 20 cases for summary hearing. And finally, item 12C is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 sub A, juvenile probation cases, and all of the summary dismissal and summary hearing cases are more described in the agenda. And that concludes my read-in. Thank you.
Our open session is adjourned, and we will begin our closed session in 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Okay.